This video is sponsored by RenderHub, and they've just launched a new 3D and CG event calendar to help artists stay up to date with the industry events, but more on that later in the video. Doing 3D art is not always about brute force and making everything from scratch, because sometimes you have to be smart to get things done fast. And this is what many professionals have been doing for years, even decades, through what is called kitbashing. I mean, from simple projects to Hollywood blockbusters. Kitbashing is used for making transformer characters, sci-fi vehicles, weapons, buildings, cities, you name it. And you will be surprised where kitbashing came from and why you are missing out if you are not using it. Speaking of kitbashing, if you've ever needed random sci-fi parts, environment pieces, hard surface details, or just a bunch of assets to smash together into something cool, RenderHub has a pretty massive marketplace for that kind of stuff. There is a ton of game-ready assets, Unreal and Unity content, plus a surprising amount of free assets too. They recently added a 3D and CG events calendar that keeps track of industry events, meetups, conferences, Blender, and Unreal events all in one place. So if you like keeping tabs on all CG events and announcements, you can even submit your own events. They also have a huge gallery section with plenty of high-quality artworks if you need inspiration. And their blog covers workflows, artists, and industry topics worth checking out. RenderHub runs community competitions too, pretty regularly. And right now, they are running the Sexy Robot Contest 3 with around $5,550 in prizes. So if you want to make some cool cyberpunk or sci-fi robot designs, definitely check that out before the June 30 deadline. So check RenderHub through the link in the description, and don't forget to join the Sexy Robot contest. Kitbashing actually started long before digital 3D art even existed. The term actually came from old school physical model makers, especially people building modern trains, tanks, airplanes, and sci-fi miniatures. They would literally take parts from different commercial model kits and bash them together into something completely new. So someone might grab pieces from a tank model, an airplane engine, and a ship kit, then combine them into custom sci-fi vehicles or robots. The technique really exploded in popularity during the late 60s and 70s in Hollywood practical effects. Movies and TV shows like 2001, A Space Odyssey, Star Trek, and especially Star Wars make kitbashing famous. Back then, 3D and CGI barely existed, so artists and different companies like Industrial Light and Magic had to build massive spaceship miniatures by hand to make ships feel details and realistic. They glued tiny pieces from military model kits all over the surfaces. Tank wheels, airplane parts, engine pieces, and random plastic bits became the famous gribbles you see on Star Wars ships. And what made kitbashing so powerful was speed. I mean, instead of sculpting every tiny detail from scratch, artists could instantly create complexity by reusing existing parts. And that became a huge philosophy in sci-fi design, which is reuse, remix, and layer the detail. So a lot of classic spaceship aesthetics were basically born from this process. Even today, modern sci-fi still copies this dense gribble Star Wars look without many people realizing it came from glued together plastic model kits. And when 3D software started becoming mainstream in the 90s and 2000s, with tools like Power Animator, Softimage, and later Maya, Max, and Blender, artists basically brought the same idea into the digital world. So instead of physically cutting apart model kits, they started building libraries of meshes, panels, bolts, pipes, mechanical parts, and architectural pieces they could drag into different scenes. By the 2010s, digital kitbashing became a massive part of concept art, games, and VFX productions. And artists realized they could create giant cities, spaceships, ruins, or environments insanely fast by combining pre-made assets instead of modeling every object manually. That's when dedicated kitbash libraries started appearing online, and companies began selling massive packs of sci-fi parts, buildings, and environment assets specifically designed for this workflow. And today, kitbashing is everywhere in 3D. Environment artists use it for fast world building, concept artists use it for rapid ideation, and studios use it to speed up production. Even modern tools like geometry nodes in Blender or procedural workflows in Houdini kind of evolved from the same core idea, building complex things by combining reusable pieces, instead of manually crafting everything from scratch, and in a way, kitbashing became one of the foundations of modern 3D production. That's why you should use it too. In modern VFX work, 3D kitbashing became one of the biggest speed hacks in the industry, as I said. A lot of modern sci-fi movies, games and cinematics would honestly be impossible to finish on schedule without kitbashing. And it became especially important once productions started needing gigantic environments with insane amounts of detail. One of the biggest users of digital kitbashing is probably Industrial Light and Magic. Modern Star Wars productions still heavily rely on modular asset workflows, where artists reuse and remix mechanical parts, panels, architectural pieces, and environment kits to rapidly create ships, cities, and massive sci-fi scenes. And the philosophy never really changed. I mean, from the old miniature days, because it just became digital. The Transformers movies are actually a perfect example too of extreme digital kitbashing. At ILM, artists build gigantic libraries of mechanical parts like gears, pistons, panels, wires, engine pieces, armor plates, car internals, hydraulics, and tiny moving components, then constantly reuse and recombine them to create the robots. Instead of modeling every transformer completely from scratch, they would assemble characters almost like mechanical Lego, layering thousands of reusable pieces to get that insanely dense machine inside a machine look. Michael Bay, the director behind the movies, specifically wanted the robots to feel like real transforming machinery rather than smooth sci-fi robots. So ILM filled them with visible moving parts and overlapping geometry. Some characters had tens of thousands of individual components, and even simple motions like turning a wrist involved many separate mechanical pieces moving together. The whole visual style of live-action Transformer movies basically became one gigantic high-detail kitbashing workflow pushed to Hollywood extremes. Also, movies like Blade Runner 2049 used heavy digital environment kitbashing combined with miniatures to build its massive cyberpunk cityscapes. So artists would take existing building modules, industrial parts, pipes, vents, antennas, neon structures, and layer them together into giant futuristic cities. And this workflow became common in cyberpunk productions because manually modeling every building detail would actually take forever. Concept artists also pushed kitbashing into a whole new level during the 2010s. So instead of spending days painting everything manually, artists started using Blender, Maya and Max, and ZBrush 2 with massive kitbashing libraries to create ultra-detailed environments in just hours. Many Hollywood concept art workflows today involve quickly blocking scenes using pre-made assets before painting over them in Photoshop. In big film and game productions, directors might ask for 20 to 30 environment ideas in a very short period of time, so artists use kitbashing to rapidly block out worlds, cameras, lighting, and composition before painting over the final image in Photoshop. And a lot of artists working in games and movies like Halo, Star Wars, Dune, The Division, and the Blade Runner style projects use this workflow heavily because it lets them focus on the mood, storytelling, and design rather than wasting days modeling tiny details, which to be honest is not worth it. What's interesting is that most concept art today is actually a mix of 2D and 3D. Artists often start with rough sketches, then jump into 3D kitbashing to establish perspective, scale, lighting, and scene structure. After that, they paint over the render to add atmosphere, characters, weather, and artistic style. Some artists even build their own custom kit libraries full of reusable assets, which they can mix endlessly for different projects. Environment artists, for example, working in Blender and Unreal, often combine kitbash assets with photogrammetry scans, megascans, and procedural tools to create giant cinematic worlds incredibly fast. In games, kitbashing became absolutely massive too. Studios working on games like Star Citizen, Halo Infinite, and Massive Effect use giant internal asset libraries full of walls, machinery, doors, sci-fi panels, rocks, debris, pipes, cables, and architectural pieces. Environment artists can rapidly assemble levels almost like Lego. A simple hallway in sci-fi games might actually be built from the same 20 to 30 reusable pieces, rearranged in different ways. which is also called modular environment building. And lots of companies and creators now offer kitbashing. They create huge collections of ready-made cities, cyberpunk streets, fantasy castles, industrial zones, and post-apocalyptic assets used by indie artists and major studios alike. And a lot of their kits are being used in films, games, and cinematics, even Unreal Engine visual production workflows. And even though the tools became more advanced, the mindset is still the same thing model makers were doing decades ago, with plastic parts glued into different spaceships and other models. And there you have it, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to the channel to receive more videos like this. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.